Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday Night Live. And you know what? I am so excited because we're going to be talking about digestion. And from what I have heard, especially from Ben Fuchs, is that is the key element to all of our vitamins and minerals. Is because if we're not digesting properly, then we don't get anything in our system. So I'm Jody Waterman, and I cannot wait to hear what Julie has to say tonight. You know what, this girl, one of the most treasured, priceless gifts that we get to have in this company are the people that we meet in the process. And, you know, sure, we make an incredible income. We get to learn about nutrition and help be answer to a prayer. But really, the treasured blessings are the people that we meet in the process. And Joanne Johnston and John and Julie, they have just been amazing in my life. And I just have to share just a little highlight, you know. Thank you, Longevity. With my car bonus, I was able to save up, and I did get my black Mercedes convertible. So we're having a little bit of fun, and Julie had some fun with me the other day, and we took the top down and took it for a spin, and so thank you, Julie, for making things special for me. You know, that was great. And then we've all, you know, we've earned the cruise as well, and I won't be there this year, but next year we're going to be there for sure. Last year was such a blast. Very, very good. Very fun. And so Julie, she is someone that, you know, is I wish the world had more Julies, because she's brilliant, she's beautiful, has the most huge servant heart, and she's always going over and above to help other people. And she's a naturopathic practitioner, and she's an incredible mom, a wonderful daughter. And you know, she's had some tough times just recently, and you know what I love the most about her is she uses those as stepping stones to be stronger. And I just really, really appreciate and love you, Julie. And so, Julie, would you get up here and bless us with your wisdom, knowledge, and brilliant, fun friendship personality that you have.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I wish everybody had a cheerleader like Jody. She's awesome, and I feel so pumped when I get the privilege of being introduced by her. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So we've been talking about a different Healthy Body Start Pack every single week, and a different focus on health. And this week we're going to talk about digestive health. And like Jody said, digestion is really the foundation of all health. And if you don't have healthy digestion, then you're not going to have healthy other parts of your bodies, and it's going to just trickle downstream and affect everything else. So if you want to get a handle on your health, you really have to start with digestion. So this is really a message that's for everybody. And I think I love this statistical chart from Dr. Axe. Instead of putting my own together, I thought I'll just put something up here that's already done. But 70 million Americans suffer from digestive disease, and its costs. It costs the USA $100 billion in medical bills every single year. And I think this is just totally incredible and astounding, what kinds of problems that we have and how expensive it is. So there's more than 40 diseases linked to bacterial imbalance, including depression, arthritis, irritable bowel syndrome, and cancer. And this all begins in the gut. Did you know that your neurotransmitters, your happy hormones that are made in your brain, everybody thinks 95% of them are made in your gut. So if your gut is not healthy, if you don't have healthy digestion, then you're not going to make neurotransmitters, and that can be a source of one of the root causes of depression. So we're going to talk about several different specific digestive diseases or digestive disorders tonight. We could talk about hundreds of them, but I just wanted to narrow it down to some of the big hitters. So everybody's probably heard of leaky gut, and it's a big buzzword these days. We're going to go into detail about that. About irritable bowel syndrome, that's just another word for upset stomach and digestive system, but we don't really know why or what's causing it. So it's kind of a catch-all term. It can be diarrhea or constipation or gas or bloating. And who doesn't have that? We all have irritable bowel to some degree. Crohn's disease is another one that we'll talk about. Can you believe that there's been a 74% increase over a decade period in Crohn's disease? What is going on that there would be that much of an increase? And there's been a 20% of Americans suffer from GERD, which is gastric reflux or chronic acid reflux, okay? There's a 216% increase in hospitalizations from 1998 to 2005 for GERD. It's crazy. And it's up to $250 a month for prescription medications to manage that. So it's super duper expensive to have these problems. But while we're talking about problems here, I want people to realize that there's solutions, and that's what we're going to talk about. They're simple. They don't have to be prescription or surgery. There's simple solutions. So a little bit about leaky gut. It's just another way of saying that your intestinal wall is hyperpermeable. Means that more stuff passes through your intestinal wall than it should. So if you have proper digestion, then everything, all of your food and nutrients are broken down into little tiny little pieces. And then they're released into your bloodstream through your gut. But if you have a separation in the cells, if you have inflammation in your gut and a separation in the cells, then larger particles of food can pass through. Incidentally, if you don't have enough enzymes and you're not digesting your food, then there's larger particles that you find in your gut that increases that inflammation, but it creates another problem. These large particles are able to pass through these large holes in your gut and cause food intolerances and allergies. Eventually that can lead into autoimmune disorders. So think about it. If you eat a piece of chicken and it's not fully digested and you have large particles of that chicken that's undigested passing into your bloodstream, your body does not like that. Your blood is not designed to carry away protein waste. That's your intestinal job, for protein waste to be carried away. So when it gets into the blood, then the body goes on alert and it sends out antibodies to attack that protein, and it identifies the source of that protein, where it came from, and if it looks similar to an organ, then it'll start attacking the organ, because your body thinks it needs to be taken care of, that there's rotting tissue or something that's going on. So if your chicken looks like brain tissue, or if it looks like thyroid tissue, then your autoantibodies are going to go out and attack that part of your body. That's why we have so many autoimmune diseases these days. You see the statistics that I gave about how Crohn's disease and how GERD has increased so much. Those are all gastrointestinal problems, and if we're not digesting properly, then we're going to have more autoimmune conditions as well, because it's all linked. Make sense? It's crazy. So some of the symptoms of leaky gut include similar symptoms to irritable bowel. We already mentioned these. And some of the causes of leaky gut can be from inflammatory foods that you eat. And there's some commonality between all people with things that cause inflammation, but then there's also specifics. So it's really important that you listen to your body, and if you're having these problems, try just eating a very basic diet and eliminating certain things like dairy, eggs, gluten. Gluten is huge, and we'll talk a little bit about why that's a problem these days. I do believe that our body was originally designed to be able to digest gluten and process it, but things are not the same in our food as they used to be, and so it creates some problems for our body. You add sugar, and you know the average American eats 150 pounds of sugar a year. It used to be 4 pounds back in colonial America.
Oh my God.
Sugar is very inflammatory, and that's going to cause the cells, the space and gap between the cells in your intestine to increase and separate due to inflammation. Okay? Medications can also cause leaky gut. Antibiotics, vaccinations. So vaccinations, that's a whole different story. I'm not going to go there. I want to, but I'm not going to go there. Stress. So stress shuts down your digestion, and if you have undigested food going into your gut, then that's going to cause inflammation. And then this one, a lack of enzymes and healthy gut flora. And this is what we're going to focus on throughout most of the discussion tonight. But for now, I'm going to move on to another type of issue and talk about why intestinal flora is so important. So this is a little bit of a graphic picture. Hope everybody's okay with this. But gut health begins when you're in utero. So when you're a baby in your mother's womb, that's where your gut health begins. And it's very important that babies get a good start while they're in the mother's womb. If the mother does not have a healthy gut, if she has leaky gut, if she has gluten intolerance, if she has any sort of intestinal abnormality, chances are that the baby's going to have it as well, that it's passed on. So before you even get pregnant, ladies, it's important to get your gut in order. It's not enough time once you get pregnant to start taking a prenatal vitamin and thinking that that's going to be enough. You have to get things in order ahead of time and have preconception health. So one of the things that happens once the baby is ready to be delivered is that as the baby's coming down the vaginal canal, the baby is getting good and bad bacteria up into their sinuses. They're inhaling it and taking it into their body, which takes it down into their intestines. And this is how a baby's gut is first inoculated with good bacteria or bad bacteria. It's inhaled through the mother's birth canal. And then the second touch that a baby gets is through breast milk. So if you do not breastfeed your baby, then they're not going to get the good probiotics and the good bacteria and the good, immune defenses that you only get through breast milk. So this is very important. And cesarean delivery is pretty common, and there's some people that just cannot deliver vaginally, but whenever possible, it's so important because this gives a great start to the body. So if you don't have this start, then you're set up for a lot of trouble throughout your life. And there are ways that you can head it off at the pass and you can recover that, but it's pretty difficult to get back to where you could have been if you had just had a really good start in the first place. So this is a message to expectant mothers or people who are wanting to have babies is get it in order ahead of time. So the next digestive disorder that I wanted to talk about was acid reflux, and that's just simply backwash of stomach acid or contents of the stomach into the esophagus. So most people have probably experienced a little bit of heartburn if they've eaten too much or too late and they go to bed, or something that's really spicy. There's different foods that bother different people, and again, this is where listening to your body comes into play. And there are certain offending foods like gluten and dairy and sometimes eggs and other things that cause more trouble for people, but you also have to listen to your body and figure out what it is that's causing trouble for you. And you can avoid that food, or there's some other solutions that we can offer. So GERD, I'm not able to think of what the term is right now. Gastric esophageal reflux disease. That's what it's called. So this is just a chronic form of acid reflux, and they classify it as chronic if you have trouble with acid reflux 2 or more times per week.
That's what my dad had when he got the cancer.
Right, right. And so that's one of the risks, and we'll talk about that. So it's not only a symptom, but it's a risk that you can get cancer because it's damaging those cells in the esophagus. It's very dangerous, so you have to take care of it. Also, if it just impacts your lifestyle and you're not able to do certain things, then that can be classified as GERD. So symptoms: pain, burning, damage to the esophagus, like Jody said, and then eventually cancer. The causes, we talked about diet already. Stress again. So when you're in fight or flight, your body is worried about getting you out of a dangerous situation. It's pumping blood to your extremities so you can run and so you can think. It's dilating your eyes, your pupils, so that you can see better, but it's shutting off digestion. And when we live in constant chronic stress every single day, then our digestion is shut down. And what is the state of America? We're always stressed. We eat in our cars, we eat while we're standing up. Our stomach is in knots. It's not going to digest. So it's important to sit down, enjoy a meal, have nice conversation, take your time, and just enjoy yourself. That helps digestion. And what's really surprising to a lot of people is that acid reflux, for probably 95% of the time, has nothing to do with having too much stomach acid. We have this idea that just because it's coming up our throat that we have too much, and that's a fallacy. And the medical community has taken this to an extreme, because if you have acid coming up your throat, then they give you an antacid and make it even worse. So if you don't have stomach acids, you're not going to digest your food, right? Then you're not going to absorb the nutrients. You're going to have intestinal inflammation, and it's going to create problems like leaky gut and other issues down the road. So it may feel better at first, but eventually you're going to become malnourished and have some type of gut disorder. So one thing leads to another. We have to be really careful. Usually the problem is a lack of enzymes. So it's not having enough stomach acid. So your stomach is designed to be around a pH of 2.5, 1.5 to 2.5 when you're digesting food. Hydrochloric acid is coming in there digesting food. If you don't have a low enough pH, it's not going to digest, and your food sits in there and it ferments. What happens if you put a lid on something that's fermenting? Eventually it blows, right? And the same is true with your stomach. So this is a cutaway of what your esophagus looks like going down into your stomach. So here it goes down into your stomach, and there's this muscle that's around the esophagus called an esophageal sphincter, okay? And that sphincter closes off the esophagus from the stomach so that things don't come back up. Well, if you have all this pressure building in there, then that little valve opens and it pops back up. And you're going to get food and some acid from your stomach back up in here. And some people have what's called a hiatal where this little esophageal sphincter never closes. It stays open, and that's going to create even more problems. And this is actually something that can be remedied without surgery. There's exercises that you can do. With a hiatal hernia, you have part of your stomach that's poking up above your diaphragm into where your esophagus should be. So you have part of your stomach up high. And you can push it back down through some exercises. I have like a download on my website that you can get, or I can email it to you. Just let me know. But you can actually correct that and retrain the stomach to stay down inside the diaphragm and not be popping up anymore. Again, healthy gut flora is important for this. So we're going to talk in more detail about this in a little while. So what is the cost of esophageal cancer? This is probably very conservative. So they would probably start you on proton pump inhibitors first, and annually running, $250 to $300 a month. That can come out to be $3,300 a year. And then if you get a screening for esophageal cancer, that's $60. Surgery, $7,000. Radiation, $600. Chemotherapy, $6,300. Oh, and then I didn't even put hospitalization in there because I couldn't find a statistic for if you had esophageal cancer. But for other types of surgeries, like if you have like an episode with your heart, the average hospitalization is around $24,000. So that would bump this way up to like $35,000. This figure, the annual cost for having esophageal cancer. It's crazy. And then if you want to have some type of surgery to fix it, like a resection, or they have a little band that they can put around your esophagus that's magnetic, that'll pinch it shut when there's no food passing through, but it'll kind of open up when food is passing. That's $17,000 to $25,000 for that surgery. It's crazy. And then, of course, there's multiple layers of vendors who each make a little cut from each of these devices and from surgeries and stuff, and it's a lot of money. It's just a lot of money. So that's one theory, is to use pharmaceuticals, proton pump inhibitors, which I consider poison. Sometimes it is necessary, but in general, if you're shutting down the little pumps that make acid that help you digest your food, it's poisoning those little cells, and those cells need to produce acid in order for you to digest. So I classify them as poison. Cut, removing part of your esophagus or your stomach. Burn, radiation if you have esophageal cancer. Replace, put the little band in there to close your esophagus instead of using your own little flap, or strengthening and supporting that flap to function properly. It's actually possible. And then traditional medicine says the causes are unknown for digestive disorders. And I had a little sarcasm as I was putting this together. Hint, it's not a lack of pharmaceuticals. It's not. but that's basically what the medical community is saying, because that's what they use to treat it, is a pharmaceutical. So I'm going to tell you about a man in a little while named Dr. Wallach, and his approach is to strengthen and feed the digestive tract with specific nutrients to get it to function properly. And I've seen it over and over and over happen again with people when they give the right nutrients to their body, when they take away offending foods, that the digestive tract heals and they're able to function properly. The whole philosophy is to heal from the inside out. So this is Dr. Wallach. He's the founder of the company that we work for, Longevity. Our motto is 90 for life, and that's based on 90 essential nutrients that every single body needs in order to be healthy. There's an average of 900 diseases associated with nutrient deficiencies, and Dr. Wallach was able to find the root of every single one of these diseases, and it all boils down to nutrients. And he says it's not just what you eat that kills you, it's what you don't eat. The key to health is giving your body all the 90 essential nutrients it needs. So there's an average of 10 diseases that are associated with every nutrient, and every one of the essential nutrients. So 10 times 90, that's 900. Even if you consider yourself healthy, you still need 90 for life to make sure you're getting the proper nutrition on a daily basis. So I considered myself super healthy, but when I did a specific analysis, a hair analysis, which is something that I offer to my clients, I found after 6 months of just eating food that I was completely deficient in every nutrient. I was not taking any supplementation. And I was really disturbed by this. It was frustrating. But then when I started learning about soil depletion, it all made sense. So this chart shows how in the 1900s, the early 1900s, these were the mineral levels of soil content, mineral levels. So we have iron and zinc and calcium and cobalt and phosphorus and selenium. All these things were in the soil. This line right here shows when we started mechanizing farming, when we started industrializing farming and using chemical fertilizers. So you can see how minerals declined. Well, it makes sense. They were only putting 3 minerals back into the soil. We need all of these and more, according to Dr. Wallach. There's 60 essential minerals that we need to be healthy. Incidentally, this is where disease was back in the early 1900s. Your cancers and obesity and asthma, bone deformities, heart conditions, all of these things. Look how low it was. But at the same time that minerals were declining, look what happens to disease. It skyrockets. And this is exactly Dr. Wallach's point, that every disease is a nutrient deficiency to one degree or another. So then I thought, I'm going to start supplementing. Fortunately, I had found Longevity in the process, and I thought, I'm going to test this and see if it's really any good. After 6 months of taking Longevity products, all of the minerals in my hair analysis were in range. So I was totally a believer, and I wasn't as careful on my diet that second 6 months. I had eaten a pristine diet before for the first 6 months, like salmon for breakfast and greens, and it was ridiculous. And so that's why I was so frustrated when things didn't look good for me. But after only 6 months of taking the Longevity products, everything was in range. And I actually felt completely differently. My vision improved. I was more energetic. I wasn't as hungry. I didn't have cravings. So it's quite wonderful. So the thing that I love about Longevity is the absorption rate. So most mineral supplements are derived from minerals. So we saw the soil content, but none of us eat soil, and we're not able to assimilate minerals from soils. So we need to consume plants that have already done the job for us, or animals that have consumed plants. So these elemental minerals, if we were to eat soil, those are only 8 to 12% absorbable. And unfortunately, that's what most supplements contain. For instance, calcium carbonate, it's from a rock. We're not able to assimilate that. All of our supplements include plant-derived minerals from an ancient source. I love this because not only is it from a plant-derived source, but it's clean, it's pristine, and it's ancient, meaning that the soil content at that time was probably even better than it was in the 1900s and even more nutrient dense. And then the form that they put it in is also amazing. It's highly absorbable because it's in a colloidal form. So it's very tiny particles that are able to enter our cell and get right in there and nourish it. So this is a picture of the 90 for Life that Dr. Wallach has formulated. And he's found this through his research. So he was a doctor of veterinary medicine for over 35 years, and he was published over 75 times in different medical journals, pharmaceutical or veterinary journals, and he performed over 36,000 autopsies on animals and humans. And in the process of doing this, this is when he found the connection between nutrient deficiencies and disease. He took what he learned with animals and he converted it to humans and became a naturopathic doctor. And right now, the mainstay of his practice is helping extend life to over 100 years, upwards of 120. So he has a lot of clients who are very elderly and they're healthy and vibrant, and it's wonderful. I hope to be one of them someday. So this is the 90 for Life that Dr. Wallach has formulated based on all of his research and his autopsies. We have this product. It's a vitamin and mineral product that contains almost completely all of your essentials that you need for every single day. It also contains probiotics and prebiotics, which we're going to talk about later, and the importance that they have with digestive health. And then this product, Beyond Osteo Effects, this one is what is important for your bones and joints. So it takes care of not just the calcium that everybody knows is good for your bones, but it takes care of the phosphorus and the strontium and the boron and all those things that help harden the bones. And then it also has components in there that help build the soft bone matrix that the calcium has to attach to. So it's very important to have both, not just one or the other. Otherwise you get these bones that are kind of like shells that break easily. You want them to be strong and dense and heavy. And then essential fatty acids, that's the third component of the 90 for Life. Everybody needs good fats in their diet, and these are good for your brain and your skin and your nerves and many other parts of the body. The 90 for Life is included in 6 different Healthy Body Start packs that we have within the company. And I've, in the prior weeks with this series, we've been talking about all of these other health packs, and today we're going to be talking about the digestion pack. So each one of these packs contains an extraction of specific nutrients that are necessary for management of things like blood sugar and bone and joint health. So there's a concentration of specific nutrients that are going to help with any given issue. And within the digestive pack, we have a couple extra products. One of them is enzymes, and the other one is cut off at the bottom. It's flora. So flora is just good bacteria, probiotics. Everybody's familiar with those terms. I think I messed it up when I put it together. Sorry. So within Tangy Tangerine, I already mentioned that there's prebiotics and probiotics. So prebiotics are just basically components that promote the growth of probiotics. So they kind of lay the foundation for the probiotics to go on top of. They need some type of food source in order to proliferate in your body, and that's what a prebiotic does. So an example of that within the Beyond Tangy Tangerine is FOS and inulin, and this is a type of sugar. Probiotics, again, are beneficial bacteria. We get those when we're in our mother's tummy through the birth canal, and then we have to continue to intake them through our diet, and if we don't get them through our diet, then we need to supplement in order to have a healthy gut and have everything function properly. So this bacteria in your gut is what takes your nutrients and translates them to a form that's usable by your body. So this is very important. If you don't have this, then you're also not going to be absorbing and using your nutrients properly. There's no added sugars, which is really important for gut health. We talked about earlier. Sugar causes inflammation, so you don't want a supplement that's got a bunch of sugar in it that's going to be counteracting all the other good stuff that's in there. In the Beyond Osteo Effects products, so this bone product, a couple of the things that I wanted to pull out that are good for digestive health is calcium. So I don't think a lot of people realize that you need calcium for digestion. It's very important for that esophageal sphincter that we were talking about. It can't work properly if you don't have enough calcium. It's not rigid enough. It gets flaccid and weak. You need calcium to close that little flap. Glucosamine is important. That keeps it elastic, but it helps the function of that sphincter. Another thing is gelatin, which is in one of our other products called glucogel. That with the calcium are two really important things if you have a hiatal hernia or you have problems with acid reflux, that you need to take that in addition to the other products, extra in addition to get that little flap and muscle functioning properly. And then MSM, it's just a naturally occurring form of sulfur that's good for your skin. It's soothing. It reduces parasites. So the whole inside of your body is composed of skin, not just the outside. So your digestive tract is all skin, and sulfur is going to help with the health of that part of your body as well. Essential fatty acids are good for your skin. Again, your digestive tract is skin, so you need that to keep it soft and supple and to heal up lesions and all sorts of things. Ultimate enzymes. So we talked about how most acid reflux is not too much acid, it's a lack of acid or a lack of enzymes. You're going to get that in your ultimate enzymes. As you get older, you don't produce as many enzymes. Your body just tapers off. And then with all of our antacids, not eating enough salt. Salt is super important, and I'm not talking table salt, I'm talking sea salt that's got all the minerals. The sodium in there lines your stomach. Your stomach lining is composed of sodium, so you need that as a nutrient. Then the chloride from sodium chloride. Chloride is a donor for hydrochloric acid to be manufactured. So you can see also how we've gotten ourselves into such a problem with this accelerated acid reflux and GERDs and chronic Crohn's disease and all these other digestive disorders because we haven't been eating salt and we've been told that it's bad for our health. Well, table salt is bad. It's processed. It's just like white sugar. But if you eat Himalayan sea salt or Himalayan salt or Celtic sea salt, then that's going to be good for your digestive tract and you need it. If you don't have enough, though, you can supplement. So within Ultimate Enzymes, these are the different types of enzymes that are included. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 different enzymes in Ultimate Enzymes, and it's broad spectrum. It covers all sorts of types of foods that you want to digest, especially meats. So yes, we need hydrochloric acid, and did you know that carnivores are the only animals that produce hydrochloric acid? So our stomach produces hydrochloric acid, and I may be stepping on toes, but there's a lot of people who think vegetarian's the way to go, but we make hydrochloric acid. And if carnivores are the only ones who make that, then that tells me that we should be eating meat. So anyhow, if you have trouble with meat, here's your hydrochloric acid. If you have trouble with fats, here's your ox bile. Okay? And then these others are also called out. And then the next product is the Flora Effects, and that's just a bunch of probiotics. I think there's 4 different strains and 4 billion organisms in the Flora Effects. If you need additional probiotics, then you can add in one of these products like this Biolumin Nightly Essence. It has 15 different strains. Can you believe that? Of probiotics. And then Root Beer Belly is another one that kids love. It tastes great. A couple of other products that I'd like to talk about. Glucogel, we already mentioned that for hiatal hernia. Recently I just learned about this product line that's within Youngevity called Biomedics, and it's an Aloe Plus product. Aloe is so important for, not only does it heal a burn on your skin, but it's going to heal lesions and burning and inflammation inside your digestive tract. It's awesome. So you could add that in if you need extra help. And Maki Plus is another one that contains aloe and it contains maki. Both are soothing and healing to the gut. So these are just additional add-ons that you can add in addition to the Healthy Digestion Pack, which is what I showed you on the previous slide. Keep in mind that the dosage is for a 100-pound person. So when you order the product, you have to be sure that you order the right amount. Remember, Dr. Wallach was a veterinarian, and he didn't give the same amount of product to a dachshund as he would to a greyhound, or vice versa. He would dose it according to weight, and we have to do the same as humans in order to get the right benefit. He recommends being on the product at least 90 days, and I've seen this as a healthcare practitioner. It takes time to heal your body, and I think a lot of times people take product and they think, after a week, I'm not better, I don't notice a difference. But you have to understand that for every year that you're sick, or that you've been developing a problem, it's going to take an average of 1 month for every year to retrace your steps and get back to where your health should be. So it takes time, and if you're diligent, then it can take less time. If you have absorption issues, that's what these products are for. I should take that out. Eliminate the 10 bad foods. There's been 2 more foods that have been added to Dr. Wallach's list, soft drinks and soy. This is the good foods, the bad foods. So again, on here is your gluten and your sugars and processed things. You don't want to be eating those. It's going to cause more inflammation. So supplementation does you no good if you don't want to change your diet. So the first thing to do is change diet and add supplementation. And the 2 work together. A lot of times when people cut things out of the diet without supplementing, they're craving, and it's difficult for them. But the 90 for Life cuts down on those cravings, and it accelerates the healing process. Also experiment with limiting or eliminating FODMAPs foods. So there's a list that I can send you. You can Google this, but FODMAPs foods are foods that can be inflammatory to the body. So we talked about the cost of having acid reflux or esophageal cancer. So the annual cost came to around $21,000 without a hospitalization. It would be even more. And the Healthy Body Digestion Pack that we just talked about is only $175 a month. Even if you add a few more of the products on, which I should have listed here, it would maybe come out to $3,300 a year if you added some additional products on there. If you didn't add those, it would be less than $2,000 a year. So you tell me what's a better value. A lot of people say I don't have the money to spend on supplements, but do you have the money to spend on a surgery and to have part of your esophagus removed? We already talked a little bit about Dr. Wallach. Brilliant man. He's been published over 150 million copies of his book, Dead Doctors Don't Lie, and that's not counting all the copies of CDs and tapes that are out there. Lots of experience, brilliant man, good results. So this is longevity, and we have more than nutritional supplements. And I wanted to invite a good friend up here to give her testimony to us about her journey through digestive unhealth to digestive health. And she actually used one of these products, well, all these products, but Maki Plus was one of them specifically that she pulled in and has had really great results. And Joanne loves to help other people and walk them through this process, and I just really appreciate her giving heart and how she continues to just bless others with her just her testimony of what God has done for her through these products, and then just continuing to invest in people in other ways. She's a wonderful, lovely person, and wait until you hear her story. You'll be encouraged.
Thank you, Julie. That was a really great presentation. I just always love hearing all of this, and even though I've heard it many times, when I hear it again, I realize something that I forgot, and it just helps bring me back to why I take the products that I do. And even the glucogel today is, oh yeah, I forgot that. It's not just for the joints, but it also is for the inside of your belly. So my story is about maybe 12 or 15 years ago. I started to gradually, it just came on me gradually, that I was tired, I was achy, I would get up in the morning and have major issues. And it wasn't like joint issues. It was like I would get up in the morning and I was like stiff, and I would think, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm like 90, and we have a 2-story, and I would actually have to take the steps. One, put my foot on, put the same foot on, hold on to the rail, because my body was that stiff. I went to doctor after doctor after doctor. They said, oh, it's your thyroid. Put me on thyroid medicine. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's this. Try this. Try that. I did that for probably 4 or 5 years. And finally, by the grace of God, my daughter, who also was having some issues, she's a researcher like Julie. And there wasn't really a lot of natural practitioners and homeopathic doctors in this area. So she found one in Chicago, and we flew out there, and that's probably 9 years ago. And he looked at me and he said, I told him my symptoms, and he said, okay, I'm pretty sure you're probably gluten intolerant. I'm pretty sure you're probably lactose intolerant. You probably have major candida in your body, and you may have some other food allergies. But he said, I also believe you have fibromyalgia from all of that. Well, what is that? That's all information we got. So he did a bunch of blood work. I came home, and long story short, I did have gluten sensitivity, lactose intolerance, which is dairy. I did have massive candida, and I also had allergies other than that, like eggs, raspberries, and that was because I was so inflamed in my belly that it was throwing all kinds of particles into my bloodstream. And today, with this, the more I learn, it makes sense. So I changed my diet, and this was before I knew about longevity. Within a very short amount of time, I lost weight. Within less than 3 months, I was already feeling better. The stiffness was leaving my body. But I still had a few symptoms, like achiness in the bottom of my feet, like not sleeping well. And then, by the grace of God, we were introduced to longevity. When we started, both John and I started on the product in 2012, just on the basic 90 for life. Within less than 2 months, I lost 20 more pounds because my body was getting nutrients it had not had before. And then, lo and behold, the pain in the bottom of my feet when I would walk for a long time or be on my feet was gone. I don't know how many pairs of tennis shoes we bought prior to that, and John and I are both walkers and runners. I'd buy new tennis shoes. We'd go out, 2 minutes down. Oh, these shoes really hurt my feet. John goes, oh my gosh, $120. Still is not the right shoe. It wasn't the shoe. It was the fact that I still was not getting the nutrients. And now just adding other things to it, and then having the hair analysis that Julie did for me, even though I was on the 90, I was still missing and not getting enough absorption. We added some more stuff, added some different B12, and I can tell you today, literally, I feel better than I have felt even 20 years ago. And so, John and I both love the product, love the 90 for life, love Julie for helping us, and that's our mission. Just like Jody said, that's our mission, to help people feel better, because it is not prescriptions. It's not allopathic medicine. And that doesn't mean they don't have their place, but that's not the key. That's my testimony.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, see if I can just twist this going to, okay.
Yep.
Oh. Oop.
Go the wrong way.
Going the wrong way.
There you go.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Well, my portion of the presentation is to tell you a little bit about the business side of longevity. But before I do that, let me just show you about the different celebrities that longevity has, like Mary Lou Henner, Theo Ratliff, Drew Pearson. And what these people do is they endorse the company, which is quite phenomenal. So, when you have a good experience with longevity, and you take their products, what you're going to do is you're going to naturally feel good. And when you feel good, you're going to tell other people. And when other people see you and that you feel better, they're going to ask you what's your secret. At that time, that's a good opportunity to present the business side of how to earn extra money with longevity. It's just a natural transition, because when you feel better, you're going to tell other people. When you tell other people, and you are going to tell them about the 90 for Life Start Pack. Well, they're naturally gonna try it themselves. So what this slide shows you is that if you refer 3 people in your next month's, in 1 month, well, then your next month's pack is free to you, and that's wonderful. So you can do the business side of longevity in 2 different ways. If you just